What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. As we recap today's victory over the Cleveland Browns, as you can probably tell, I'm not overly enthused by what I saw today by any stretch. Get into that. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to it and like the channel. This is a relatively new audience we're building here on YouTube. I had a successful podcast, still have. The audio side is still going on Spotify and iHeartRadio, Audible, you name it. Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff has been around for a couple years, but I launched the YouTube channel just over a month ago now. So we're slowly and surely trying to essentially restart now on YouTube with this podcast. Normally it's just me. I'm Geoff, and oftentimes I have Matt join us as well. He may pop on today. He's got a lot of things going on today, including it's his birthday. So whether or not he's able to join us for some post-game thoughts, he'll catch up with us a little bit later during the week if he's not able to jump on. So that being said, again, hit the like. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel, especially one like myself just starting to grow. Really would appreciate it. Man, it's amazing how a team with this much talent could be so painful to watch. And that is really my general overall thoughts about today's game. I mean, it's frustrating to watch this team because you know how much talent they have and how they just painstakingly can't move the ball on offense. Now, the Browns have a good defense. We know that. They haven't really showed it much this year. Leave it up to the Eagles to make their defense look good again. Myles Garrett looks to be a little bit – I mean, he doesn't have a sack, I don't think, going into this game. Not sure he had a sack today. I know he was definitely a force. Got 7 points alone on the blocked field goal attempt. He's just a beast. I can't remember if he got a sack today or not, but either way, even if he's not getting a sack, he's a force to reckon with. And he's playing on like two bad legs. Apparently he's got a foot and lower leg injuries, and he's kind of fighting through both of them. I think he's got potentially have plantar fasciitis or something like that going on. Offensively, Cleveland's got really nothing. Deshaun Watson looks terrible out there. He made a couple good throws, but a lot of bad decisions, bad throws, and the offense just not moving at all. But we know that about Cleveland. They don't have the weapons at disposal like the Eagles have. Their number one running back, for example, is Chubb, and he's, still recovering from his major injury from last season. Apparently he's due back potentially as early as next week. But, we got Barkley. They got like backup running backs. And then their starting running back Ford got hurt early in the game after like his first or second carry. So they were without him. Their center, the starting center, got hurt. They were without him the entire game. He got hurt very early in the game also. So here's not only a bad team coming into the game, but have two blows to their offense right off the bat. And the Eagles couldn't take advantage of it. The game was 10-10 at halftime against the Browns, coming off a bye week. The Eagles coming off a bye week. Off a horrible loss prior to the bye week where they got slaughtered by Tampa Bay. A bye week at home, and you come out and with that type of performance, it's just not a good team, folks. We are far closer to the team that lost the last 7-8 games last season than we are the team that won and was, started off 10-1. We're much closer to that second team. And that's a major, major problem. That comes down to coaching and player execution and maybe just overall talent. I saw some good things today. I don't want this to be a complete, Debbie Downer type, post game, but I'm just giving my thoughts. I can't even make fun or really get much joy in the fact that the Cowboys got clobbered on national television. It was a game of the week, and Detroit just blasted them off the field in Dallas. But you know what? I can't get crazy about that, even though I enjoy that immensely. Because if the Eagles play Detroit today, the Lions would have absolutely destroyed the Eagles at home. So it just would have been them instead of Dallas. I don't know what Dallas's problems, could care less. I'm worried about the Eagles' issues. And that's why, as much as I'd love to, rub it into my Cowboy friends and do all the typical banter I have with them, I can't because my team looked pathetic most of the time today. Now, make good plays? Yeah. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both found the end zone. Brown especially had some really great catches. The one in the end zone was an amazing catch. The one down the sideline late in the game to kind of ice it, another amazing catch. Both the first touchdown pass was good. Second one was underthrown by Jalen again, who just thinks he's got a stronger arm than he does. He often underthrows, our wide receivers down the field. I would say 70% of the time, the balls are underthrown, any deep balls. Players got to slow up for it or reach back for it. In fact, even on the Devontae Smith touchdown, the slant across it, he took 40-something yards for a touchdown. That ball was thrown behind, almost behind, maybe behind's a little bit of stretch, but not in front of him. I mean, again, we've talked about this, Matt and I have. You got to lead the receivers, especially on crossing routes. And not that it was a terrible ball, but you watch the replay. Devontae's got to, reach back and catch it at, his hip when it should be out here in front of him. So he can, not even lose a stride. Now, he was so wide open that it didn't matter. But most of the time, you're not going to be that wide open in the NFL. And this is some of the throws that Matt and I have talked about that Jalen just doesn't make. And the good quarterbacks lead their wide receivers. Now, I'm not going to kill Hurts. He didn't turn the ball over today. Yay! Confetti flies in the air. So we'll take the baby steps as they come with Hurts. He stayed in the pocket a little bit better. Still was running out, though. His internal clock doesn't work like most quarterbacks. He knows that, okay, he's got 3 seconds or so, or maybe 3 is the max, but he's got to get rid of the ball. But instead, even if he's got protection and a nice pocket still, once he hits the 3-second mark, he runs out of the pocket. Doesn't need to do that. Didn't do it as much today. I noticed a little bit of an improvement there. Hung in there a little more than normal, but he still does too much of the running out of the pocket Houdini stuff downfield, and it rarely ever works. So, trying to just give you my initial thoughts right at the top before I kind of dive into the talking points I really want to address. Major injuries. Very concerned about Mailata. That looks bad. He was unable to put weight on his leg and ended up being carted off the field. So he missed most of the second half, and he could be out a while. We might be looking at a very lengthy absence with Mailata. Maybe even season ending. I mean, I don't want to, report anything I don't know about because I haven't heard anything other than what the injury might be. And it appears to be, from what I'm hearing, and this was, and I don't know even if this is accurate, but John McMullen's used pretty good source. He was saying it's a hamstring. I haven't heard anything else. So it's some lower leg or leg injury for sure. But if it's a hamstring, he couldn't put any weight on it at all. So that could mean it could potentially a torn hamstring or maybe something with like a hip flexor or something with the, with a main ligament, which could be very extensive. Seems to be like more in the hip to upper leg area than lower leg. I was thinking he got rolled up on or something, like it could be an ankle or foot, but it seems to be, or knee even, seems to be a hamstring issue. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out. We do know that he wasn't available to the media after the game, which is also never a good sign. The other injuries, Slay had a knee injury. Reports are that he looks to be okay. Doesn't look to be serious. Could he miss a week? That's always possible, especially at his age. Not too concerned because we got a lot of depth at At cornerback, I mean, when was the last time we were able to say that? But we do. But Slay's injury doesn't seem to be too bad. And then, of course, Goddard, I think he only played a few plays and he was out. And his is a hamstring issue. Doesn't seem to be, at least the initial reports, that it's a serious one where it could be an extensive loss. But, like A.J. Brown just came back from, if it's a grade 1 strain or something like that, he could miss 2 or 3 weeks. So now Calcaterra came in, and, man, that was the best I've seen him look in a long time. He had a couple of really big catches, big plays. One of them set up their touchdown to Brown. He's fast. I mean, he catches the ball. I mean, he takes off. He's way faster than Goddard is speed-wise. I'm not saying he's as good as Goddard. He's not, but I'm just saying, he's an adequate replacement. But the problem is he's not a good pass protector. So the Eagles, when Goddard's out of there, lose a big, substantial part of their offensive scheme because they often have Goddard in to help and assist with blocking. And Calcaterra, that's definitely not his strength. But we'll see what Goddard, what the report is on him. So anyway, Matt had the game. What the heck was the final? Let me just check real quick. Was it 2016? Is that what it was? Let me just check real quick. I want to say it was 2016, right? Yes. Okay. So 2016 was the final. Matt had a final of 17-10. Very, very close. Mine was 30-17. So I thought the Eagles would have a little bit more offense, but I was almost hit their score in terms of Browns. They had 16 points. I had them having 17 points. The Eagles' offense just wasn't able to score as much as I was hoping for. I had them winning 30-17. But we got both of the predictions correct. But this team is just so hard to watch. You watch other teams like the Dallas game. You watch the Detroit Lions and just how they function offensively, or any decent team with that talent. Detroit's obviously loaded with talent. They use it right. The Eagles team just seems like it's like pushing this gigantic boulder up a hill every time they have the ball. They made a couple big plays today against a bad team at home. Not impressed by this win at all. You got to, it's good to get a win. Of course, it's good to get a win. I'm not, again, trying to downplay that at all. A win is a win in the league. But when you're at home after a 2-week bye, 2 weeks of a bye week to prepare for this team, at home, coming off a huge loss against Tampa Bay where they kicked your ass all over the field, and you come out at home and basically pull another stinker. Defense played very well, but how much can you really go crazy with the defense? Because they played one of the most hapless offenses in the NFL right now in the Browns. So I still don't know how good this defense is or how bad this defense is. But I can't go crazy, like some of these post games that I've already seen today. They're ranting and raving about how great. Well, it was mostly Sirianni. This press conference today, listen, I generally like Sirianni, but I got a lot of problems with his coaching. And for him to come out there and basically combat a lot of what the press questions were about the offense, getting off the slow start again. Another first quarter where the Eagles have not scored. Still the only team in the NFL with this offense that has not scored a point in the first quarter. That's embarrassing. And it's just inexcusable. I know that really is partly because Sirianni has passed on field goals that more than likely Elliott would have made. So it's kind of a little misleading stat in a way in terms of just the fact that they've been shut out. That's misleading. But what's not misleading is this team can't get going in the first quarter. That is definitely an issue and quite apparent, So that's got to change. I mean, I don't know what the Eagles need to do to shake that up, whether it's that they just go for what I'd like to see them do next week against the Giants. First play or two, take a shot downfield. Just try to break this freaking schneid in the first quarter. I would try it. I mean, they hit him deep today. You got, Devontae can get open too. I would just try to take a shot deep. Andy Reid used to do it all the time. I can almost call it. I mean, he coached here a long time, so I really got, used to his, used to when he would take a shot. And almost every time I thought, it would be a good time to take a shot downfield. And almost all the time, McNabb would try to take a shot down the field. So over time, I got used to when Andy would do something like that. And he would often do it like that. Like if he knew that, hey, third quarter, we just haven't get things going, he would come out in the game, first play the second half and go take a shot deep or something to just disrupt and try to just get over the hump. I don't see Sirianni doing anything like that. This team, again, in the first quarter, just stalled. 3 and out, first 2 possessions against the Browns. Now, again, the Browns typically have a decent defense, but again, 2 weeks off a bye. I can't emphasize that enough. 2 weeks to practice for this game and plan for it. At home, you've been struggling in the first half. You got to do something. You can't go 3 and out. I mean, they couldn't even get a drive sustained until maybe 5 minutes left in the first quarter. They got a little bit, maybe their first or second first down, and a little bit of a drive, but still didn't score. Now, they contained Barkley very well today. First time he was kind of shut down. He had a lot of carries, and his longest run, or what would have been his longest run, was called back. He also would have had a long run if he didn't run into, I think it was not Lane Johnson, but I think it was Landon Dickinson. Got in his way. I mean, that one he might have broke for a long game. But, for the most part, they stuck with the run game, even though it was being shut down. So I give Sirianni and more credit for that, at least sticking with it, even though it wasn't really working. Barkley, I think I don't think he even had 60 yards rushing. It was something like, 18 carries for 58 yards or something like that. So the first time this year that Barkley's been shut down, and Eagles were able to still pull out a victory. So again, there's some silver linings to this dark cloud of a game, because overall, I come away from this game, and I'm like, you beat the Browns, so what? And I might even have the same type of reaction next week. Now, next week's a divisional game, much bigger game in terms of, the stakes against the Giants who are playing right now. They were losing at halftime 7-0. So they're hanging in there right now against the Bengals, playing, shutting that offense down right now. Their defense is. So we'll see what happens with that. But I tell you, the Giants are not going to be easy. Their team's better, and they're better than the Browns. They beat the Browns. Basically had a close game with them just like we did. Giants cannot be taken lightly. And I can't and I should not be saying that, because the Eagles are way better than them on paper, talent-wise. It shouldn't stack up. This should be another easy victory. Have the Eagles had an easy victory? It's the other thing I was thinking. When was the last time the Eagles blew out a team? I kind of mentioned this in the last podcast when I had Matt on here. When was the last time this team blew out anybody? It's almost like they coached down to their competition, which, again, just gets me on the coaching theme that I just don't think the Eagles' coaching is that good. And this gets back to Sirianni. I do overall. I kind of like him, but my Sirianni meter has been going down since halfway point of last year. It was almost like, I won't say the needle was ever peaked on Sirianni, but it's definitely been going in the other direction. Eventually I'm going to end up on E. Not on E yet, but since we're on the topic of Sirianni, he also decided to take on the fans today. Fox cameras caught him at the end of the game going at it with some fans on the sideline. And, that's you're never going to win that battle. If he starts going down that road, that ain't happening. Wait a second here. So, just want to see if that was Matt going to chime in or not. If Matt comes on, he'll just pop in and we'll bring him in. Give me a second. You're not going to win that battle with the fans. I mean, Sirianni needs to be smart enough to just, especially after that type of a game. You don't think the fans have a right to be frustrated? This is what gets me with Sirianni. You would think he understands, or he seems to always preach about how he understands his fan base and how intense the Eagles are and all that. You don't understand his fan base. You go out there and you laid another stinker at home. Yes, you won the game today. You deserve the props for fitting the win. But the team, again, is not executing and playing well. And the fans have had to sit over this bye week after getting their asses handed to them by Tampa Bay, who we can never beat. In a division where all the teams won last week. And you haven't played well in a while. Even overall for the whole year, hasn't been all that great. You're at home, coming off a bye, and you're 3-and-outs first 2 possessions. You don't expect the fans to boo. I predicted that last episode when I did the preview. I said a couple times that the Eagles can't afford to get off to a slow start, because if it does, again, you're gonna hear it. I mean, I said it. Go back and watch my last podcast. It was totally expected and deserved on top of it. Absolutely. If I was there, I'd be booing the hell out of him too. And then he takes issue and goes, he probably said something like, I don't hear. He motioned to his ear. He probably said something like, I don't hear you booing now because we got to win or whatever. He's probably just giving it back and taunting the Eagle fans. Nick, let me tell you something. That will be your quickest ticket out of Philadelphia if you take on the Philly fans. Number one, it shows a lack of leadership, lack of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Just being able to control your emotions. And as a head coach, you are setting the example. So what do you think your players are thinking when they see the head coach going at it with the fans? What happens the next time a player is getting booed by the fans, which we know happens more often than typically the coach? You are saying it's okay to engage with the fans by what you just did today. Leading by example or not leading by example. So that's not good. And Nick, you're going to lose that every single time. And Lurie's watching and Howie's watching. And you don't think Howie, how many times is Howie went through a period in Philadelphia where he was booed relentlessly. He was talked about, people wanted him fired for years. You never saw him go at it with the fans. It's a losing proposition. So those of you Sirianni haters, which is a growing base, and I see why. Not going to defend Sirianni because of stuff like this today. And the fact this team's still playing like garbage. But I'm also not going to throw him under the bus and say he needs to be fired. I'm not there yet. Some fans are there. Some fans have been there for weeks. Some fans have been there since the end of last season. I'm not there yet. But that was bad today. That was bad. You deserve to be booed. Your team deserved to be booed by your performance today. And then coming out with a win at the end and then going out with the fans and taunting them. Like I said, that'll be your quickest ticket out of town. All right, let me start some overall thoughts on the game. I don't want this podcast to be too long. We'll have, if Matt doesn't join us this podcast, we will bring him on probably Tuesday is what I'm shooting for. Probably do a Tuesday recap. So, again, make sure you subscribe so that you're reminded of the podcast when we come on. And then, listen, as soon as we build up the subscription base enough, I want to do, live streams where I can have you guys in here in the chat box and we'll be working off each other. You'll be asking questions, making comments, and we'll see them and we'll be able to address them right here live and get into interaction with you because that's really where I want this to go. It's really the reason why I went to YouTube. So, I wasn't able to do that when I was doing the audio podcast. So now that we're here, we need the subscriptions to crank it up enough where we can do some live streaming. It's going to be a while. Understand when I'm starting a new channel that things are going to take a while to build up. But so if you wouldn't mind, you're an Eagles fan, even if you're not an Eagles fan, we talk about the NFC East as well. So if you're a Cowboys fan checking in, or Giants fan, or Commanders fan, subscribe, because you're welcome to come in and engage with us as well. All right. So back to the game. Talked about the injuries. We'll do thumbs up and thumbs down real quick. And thumbs up for the game. I mean, like I said, there was positives. I'm not going to sit there and say that the team was horrible and all that kind of thing. Not. But I'm going to point out my issues and concerns, and I've already pretty much done so. Got more of them we'll talk about with the thumbs down. Thumbs up. We'll start positive. Cooper DeJean. Saw a lot of Cooper DeJean out there. I don't know if it's Cooper DeJean, whatever. Cooper. Not only did he look much better, of course, it helps when there's people being thrown into him while he's trying to catch punts. But he looked pretty good on kickoff return, punt returns, and all that. So he did well there. But even when he was on defense, I saw him blitzing a lot. A lot of time when he was in there, that was the guy that Vic was sending in. So he blitzed a lot. He penetrated a lot when he did get the blitz. So he did well there. He made a lot of good tackles. I thought his coverage was pretty good in some certain plays, and he tackled well. So I thought overall, thumbs up for Cooper DeJean. It was good to see him in there, and I only expect him to be more of an impact and more of a and just get better now as he's going to get more playing experience. A.J. Brown, we talked about, obviously, over 100 yards, had the big catch to seal the game at the end, downfield, had the touchdown catch, which was a good throw by Hurts. We give him credit as well, but the catch was very tough because the guy was on him. It wasn't like he was all wide open. So it seems to be the only time that Hurts throws the ball when his guys are not open. Otherwise, like during the drives in between the 20s, Hurts it seems like he's hesitant to throw to guys unless they're wide open down the field. But he'll take a shot in the end zone when the guy's completely covered. It's just weird how he does it that way. I've noticed that. Anyway, A.J. Brown, huge game back. Just shows how important he is to the team. Getting back to JMU876's comment on the last podcast that we talked about with A.J. Brown just being such a huge factor in his offense, 100% agree. I mean, he is probably the most important player in this offense. You can argue Barkley as well, and obviously the quarterback's always important, but certainly, A.J. Brown is huge. You got to have a guy like that. He's a huge weapon, huge in many ways. He's tough to cover because he's a beast. He's tall, he's strong, hard to bring down when you tackle him. He's got great hands, and he just makes big time catches. And so it's great to see A.J. Brown back in his offense. And of course, getting Devontae Smith back at 2, and he also touched the end zone too in a great slant play where he took it the distance. Just good to see him back, especially after a major hit that he took. I still feel sorry for him, man. He just got absolutely rocked in that play against the Saints. Just completely uncalled for. And so just glad to see Smith out there and healthy. BG, the endless wonder. Brandon Graham made a couple of huge plays again. That one quick end around that they tried to run. BG, they showed him. He's like pointing right out. He's like, dude, that guy's good at the ball. And they ran the play anyway, and BG got it for a 4 or 5 yard loss. And he made he really had some pressures again, played the run well again. He just he continues to be their best defensive lineman. It's just scary. The guy's been in the league 16 years. But props to BG. Our one day will be our CB1, Mr. Mitchell. Another good game by Mitchell. Coverage good, tackling good. I thought Mitchell had a really strong game once again. It's very promising, this kid. And he would have had an interception. Him and CJ ran into each other. Either one of those guys could have picked that ball off. They need to communicate better. But they both went up for the pick interception, and both of them dropped it. And Mitchell looked especially pissed. Like, dude, what are you doing? I had that ball, He would have had his first career pick for sure. So better communication back there, but otherwise Mitchell, another strong game by our cornerback. He looks to be the goods, you can almost with confidence say that the Eagles nailed that number 1 pick last season. And Calcaterra, we already talked about it. Him filling in for Goddard had some really big pass plays downfield. That first one that he caught and then just took off. It's pretty fast. I mean, he was out running linebackers with ease. He was in safeties. So he's very fast. And he's got decent hands. He's a pretty good player. You can do a lot worse as a backup than Calcaterra. So, and he might obviously play a bigger role now, depending on how much time Goddard's going to miss over the next, who knows? I'm not sure. He might play next week. I mean, I'm not sure the extent of his injury. Probably pretty bad, though, I would imagine. I shouldn't say that. Pretty bad sounds really bad, but I would say that more than likely, probably not going to have Goddard next week, but we'll see. I'm not going to put a rumor out there that I don't have any inside data. Just saying, as a football fan, usually if a guy misses a game and can't play in that game, and he injures the hamstring, it's going to take longer than a week to heal. But who knows? Well, maybe he'll be back next week. All right. Thumbs down. I already talked about Sirianni. Thumbs down on him. Not only for another bad coaching, not having his team ready to go again. 3 and out. Just, to me, this team it's inexcusable. After a bye week, after getting your ass whooped before the bye week, to come out at home and have 2 3 and outs again and not score in the first quarter. It's just completely unacceptable to me. And yes, you deserve to be booed, and you need to shut up and take it like a man and not engage with the fans after the game's over and you got a win over a horrible team. Nakobe Dean, I am about at the end of my line with Nakobe Dean. I actually saw some people say he had a strong game today. What are you watching? Nakobe Dean was horrible. Horrible. I saw him miss one-on-one tackles throughout the game. It's his guy to tackle. He's the one in coverage, or he's the one who's responsible for that gap or the pursuit on the sidelines. Can't wrap anybody up. I thought he was horrible. So maybe I missed a few plays that he made. I don't think so. But, what I saw out there, Nakobe Dean was terrible. And you're telling me that Devin White couldn't do that or better? Didn't even give that guy a chance to play because of Nakobe Dean? And you guys, especially you guys that have been with me since the audio podcast days, was there a bigger champion for Nakobe Dean than me? I made a prediction that looks so ridiculous right now. I almost don't even mention it because I have an audience now I'm trying to build and establish credibility with on YouTube. Because they're not aware of all the things that I've hit on. So to mention a thing that I look like I completely missed on is probably not advantageous to me. But we'll keep things transparent here. I said within 3 years that I made a prediction that Nakobe Dean would be the leader of this defense. I thought he had those qualities, and I thought he'd be a good middle linebacker in the NFL. Like I said, I don't miss many predictions. Played football. I know the game. I'm totally misfired on that. And I'm to the point now where I'm just going to say I was wrong. Because now I'm not going to say that anymore. I don't see him as a leader. And I just, more importantly than that, I still think he probably has those type of intangibles to do that. But he can't play. And he's either too small, his hands are too short to wrap around guys, over pursuits a lot that I've seen. And, he's 3 years in now. I know he doesn't have a lot of playing time, but he's got 3 years in the league. This is his third year. And over pursuing and stuff like that, and not being able to wrap up guys when you're one-on-one as a middle linebacker, you can't have that. You can't. So it's either time to give Trotter playing time, or bring Van Sumeren in and give him more playing time. White you've already released, so you can't give him a chance now. But my days of Nakobe Dean as starting middle linebacker are very quickly evaporating. And then once again, another day, another game, another week go by with nothing. A 0 from Mr. Zero. Josh Huff. This might go down as the worst free agent signing of all time by the Eagles. And Howie. Howie's got his fingerprints obviously are all over this. But it looks like one of the most dumbest acquisitions the Eagles have ever made. And we're talking about the Asamoah days. Those who go back with me to that one, the corner they got from the Raiders, who was a complete bust. The guy is useless. I was watching him on certain downs. I didn't watch him the whole game, but there's certain plays where I'm just was watching him to see what he was doing. Nothing. Then I probably should have him in the thumbs up. Now I think about it, I didn't write him down. But our other Smith, Nolan Smith, I thought played pretty well. Thought he had a good game. He's an emotional guy, which I like. He brings emotion. But he still doesn't get the pressure on the quarterback that you're hoping for, but he's starting to make at least some plays defensively. You're starting to notice. So I'm seeing some step forwards with Nolan Smith. So that is, that's nice to see. I think that's that's going to be it for the thumbs up, thumbs down segment. And apparently Matt's not going to join the podcast today, which, like I said, I thought it was going to be tough for him to do that, being that it's his birthday. So Matt will be joining us later this week. Want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening. What are your thoughts on the game? Put them down below. What do you think? Because whatever we put down there is comments and commentary or questions, your thoughts on the game. Matt and I will talk about it probably Tuesday this week. We'll come back on and address any comments that you guys may have then. And like I said, hit the subscription button because we're going to eventually start doing live streams, and you guys can come in here and actively engage with us live as well. So, but that's, to me, it just doesn't make sense doing that until we have a big enough base of subscribers to do so. So with that being said, we got to win. All right. So that's the most important thing always at the end of the day. To me, very ugly win, but it's a win. A win is a win. Let's build off this win. Try to get a better start next week. We got the Giants, NFC East team. Got to beat the freaking Giants. Game a win last year, the end of the season, what some Giants fans want to talk a lot of smack about. It's like, dude, the Eagles shouldn't even been playing in that game. Don't want to go on a rant right now. We'll save that for later. Those of you who were with me in the audio days know exactly what I'm referring to with that, but we'll save it. So the Eagles get a win, and they get some help because Washington lost today to the Ravens. Dallas got their asses whooped, and the Giants were losing. I'm not sure what the score is now, but at halftime they were down 7-0 in a competitive game tonight on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see what happens there. But the Eagles eventually are going to stop scoreboard watching and just do their jobs on the field, start beating some teams, and starts beating up on some of these bad teams. Because then we'll know when the Eagles have turned the corner from last season. Right now, they have not, and that is obvious to me as ever. So a lot of the season to go. Things can change. Got to win, and we'll see. We'll have some more to talk about on the injuries. Hopefully, get an update on some of these guys by the time we come back, and we'll talk about those and much more. But again, hit the subscribe, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts, and until then, have a good evening. I bid you a fair adieu. And I will catch you next time. Fly, Eagles, fly. Take care.